The Bears finally come out on top with a last-minute field goal block versus the Raiders. Indiana Jones and the Colts season is no longer undefeated. Lamar Jackson loses half of his defense and another game in Arrowhead against the Chiefs. This is Twin Football. Thank you very much for joining us. Jacob, we are at the 25% mark, a quarter of the way through the NFL season. How are you feeling so far?
Man, this month has totally flown by, but so much has happened and there's still so much football left to play. I can't wait for the rest of the season. It's going to be good.
Yes, and the rest of the season starts with week 5. So let's go ahead and dive into our picks and predictions. Remember, we do all of our picks here on Wednesdays for the NFL season through ESPN. So go ahead. Get your account on ESPN and pick along with us throughout the season. Last week, we went 11-4-1 thanks to that Green Bay Dallas 80-point thriller that resulted in a tie. Nobody got the win for that one, but 41-22 on the season as we are moving up the rankings. A nice week here coming up with a couple teams on bye. So we kick things off with the divisional matchup as San Francisco takes on the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams, a great win there over the Indianapolis Colts. 2 turnovers for the Colts, one with Mitchell fumbling at the end of the end zone, and then not a turnover, but a flag that brought back the Jonathan Taylor touchdown. Kind of gave the Rams late hope there. A Tutu Atwell 70-plus yard touchdown kind of sealed it late for the Rams, but a huge win where they relied on not only Matthew Stafford and Puka Nacua, who went over 150 yards on 13 catches, but also that defense. They are becoming a more and more well-rounded team, a hard team to run against, a hard team to pass against, and a hard team to stop either running or throwing the football. San Francisco, on the other hand, welcome back Brock Purdy. Still a lot of injuries on the offensive side of the football. 4 turnovers against Jacksonville and gave up a punt return for a touchdown. The defense has been fantastic in the red zone, but Brock Purdy and that offense has yet to get going, yet to start clicking. A couple of his throws over the middle could have been picked. One of them was tipped and picked. If he does the same against the Los Angeles Rams, he's going to have trouble. I like the Rams offense to be too much for San Francisco and them to take over control of this division that every team is 500 or better, a very tightly contested division, but give me the Rams at home. I say at home, but there's going to be more 49ers fans, right?
Sure.
But the Rams going to get the win.
Yeah, really important game for the Rams at home against their main contender in the NFC West. The Niners are super banged up right now.
Yep.
Nick Bosa being out is such a huge
No sacks last first check.
No sacks, no pressures on the quarterback even. Trevor Lawrence had the easiest game of his life. And
They still
George Kittle is out. Juwan Jennings is probably not going to play full snaps. It's tough for the 49ers right now. They're just dealing with so many injuries.
Yeah. And the nice thing is they sit on 3-1 and have an easy schedule coming up here, but they will take a second loss of the season against the Rams. Jacob, who is going to take another loss this time at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London when the Vikings take on the Browns?
Yeah, the Vikings are getting nice and comfortable in the UK. Their second week there. The Browns a little bit more jet lagged than them going there this past week. The Vikings are coming off a close loss against the Steelers in Ireland. They made the short trip over to London for this one. Carson Wentz threw for almost 400 yards and 2 scores, but the focus will be on his 2 interceptions. Both of them were caused by the defensive line getting their hands up. He's got to be more careful to avoid those big men in front of him, and he's got to release it quicker. 6 allowed sacks. They simply could not handle TJ Watt. He had 2 sacks just by himself. Now, they don't have to face TJ Watt. They'll be happy about that. But now they get to face Myles Garrett, who is just as good, if not better, than Watt at getting to the quarterback. Justin Jefferson and Carson Wentz, though, did have their best game linking up together. Definitely something to build upon. But Carson Wentz has to deal with pressure better than he did in this past one. The Browns are coming off a loss against the Lions. We correctly predicted going into that game that it would probably be Joe Flacco's last start for the foreseeable future. And it looks like Dylan Gabriel will get the start, the 3rd round pick out of Oregon. will make his NFL debut more than likely. Deshaun Watson's rehab has reportedly been going well, so it'll be super interesting to see how long until they try another of their 15 quarterbacks. The defense will need to be huge in this one as Dylan Gabriel gets used to the NFL speed. Wentz has struggled with pressure, like we said, so Myles Garrett is going to have to exploit this as much as possible if they're going to want to pull off the win. I don't see the offense putting enough points on the board, even though I do believe that the Browns limit the Vikings offense as well. I think the Vikings do enough to win this one in London.
Yeah, I think you're spot on with that one. It's just which defense is going to make it a short enough field for that offense to get enough yardage to score points, because Myles Garrett going against a banged up offensive line in Minnesota is going to wreak havoc. Minnesota with Brian Flores and that blitzing defense against a first time starting quarterback. And he's not even starting in the country, he's starting overseas. On top of that, the 41st quarterback for the Browns since 1999. Absolutely ridiculous. He's going to struggle. So who is going to have enough? And I would agree with you, Minnesota, to get the win there. Two teams that felt like they had enough last week, but caused themselves really to lose, both the Raiders and the Colts. We talked a little bit about Mitchell causing the holding penalty and the turnover a little bit earlier to let the Rams back in.
What a fumble.
What a fumble.
That might be the worst mistake I've ever seen in my life.
And the thing is, every year there's
And
a
we've seen
person who fumbles out the back of the end zone, and you talk about it for a week on how you could do it and how you can't do it. Now we know the next couple of weeks no one's going to do it because it's all over everybody's team videos, and everyone's going to be two hands on the football going over the goal line. But a 76-yard touchdown, I think it would have almost been his first of the year. To wipe that out because of the fact that you do that prematurely celebrating is just boneheaded. And it would have been the most boneheaded play out of all the players in this game, except for Geno Smith just tried his absolute hardest to lose the game for the Raiders, and they ended up losing. The picks, the decision making, everything Maxx Crosby did was completely negated. One of the best defensive performances you'll see all season. He could have retired at the end of the first quarter and had one of the best defensive games with those batted balls, the pick, the pressures, and the sacks. I mean, he was a monster.
He was single-handedly carrying that entire game, and Geno Smith still found a way to lose it. It's crazy.
Impressive. And good to now go on the road and play the Indianapolis Colts. Indianapolis, the most disappointing thing about their season so far is the fact that they have one loss, because they've played extremely well in every single game in all facets, from the return game all the way to the passing game, the running game with Daniel Jones. It's been incredible. I don't think that stops. I loved Jeanty finally getting going for the Raiders and that offensive line. It just took him to return to the Michael Myers stance in the backfield. That's got to be daunting. A guy just standing, waiting to get the ball and then running over a $130 on you. That's just incredible. I think he has a decent game once again. I don't think 130 yards, but something up there towards 100 for Ashton Jeanty, but it's just not going to be enough to beat the Colts. I think the Colts are a team to be reckoned with this year. After just 4 games, they're a very well-rounded team. Give me the Colts to win at home.
Yeah, I like it. I'm not picking Geno Smith to win any game until he shows any kind of pulse. Next up, we have the Giants taking on the Saints. The Giants are coming off a huge first win of the season against a red-hot Chargers team. Jackson Dart with a decent debut to the NFL, and that defense is looking really strong. They were only able to generate 250 total yards on offense, but the defense, coupled with 14 accepted penalties against the Chargers, helped them a lot. Malik Neighbors is out for the season with a torn ACL. Only had 2 receptions in that one. So it's not like Jackson Dart was relying on him heavily to get that win, but it's got to be tough to see your star receiver go down for the rest of the season when you're trying to get acclimated to the NFL. Just like the Dolphins, they lose their star wide receiver for the year during their first win of the season. It's about as bittersweet as it gets. Still really encouraging that they might have found their franchise quarterback. Still a lot of time to figure that out, though. I'm not writing it off just yet. The Saints are coming off a loss against the Bills. They are 0-4, but apart from the Seahawks game, Spencer Rattler has kept his team within striking distance in all the other games. It's not a great consolation prize. They're still 0-4, but they're not as bad as I expected them to be going into the season. Chris Olave and Rattler are developing a good relationship, and I think they are going to be huge in this one if they can establish the run game through Kamara early. I think Jackson Dart comes down to earth a little bit in this one. He got his first win. They're going to be on so many highs going into this one. The NFL is not an easy league to play in. Every team is good, even the ones that are bad. I think the Saints pull this one off. I think Jackson Dart gets his first NFL loss in this one, and the Saints get their first win of the season.
And Spencer Rattler to finally end his career losing streak to start his NFL career 0-10 going into this one. He will avoid joining the likes of, well, he's already joined Warren Moon on 10 straight losses. Yes, Hall of Famer Warren Moon lost his first 10 NFL games, but Troy Aikman lost his first 11 games. So he does not join Hall of Famer Troy Aikman, but instead stays with Hall of Famer Warren Moon and gets his first win on his 11th try. I would love to see that down in New Orleans. The Cowboys and the Jets take on each other at MetLife Stadium. You talked about MetLife with the Giants, Malik Neighbors injury. That is 11 massive knee injuries at MetLife Stadium since they replaced the turf in 2020. And, you know, the World Cup final is going to be played at MetLife Stadium, and they will only be playing that on grass. And I wanted to get your thoughts on, should every NFL stadium be grass? And the reason I bring it up is because I think people forget what basically ended RG3's career. And that is a bad grass field. Yes, grass has a lot of benefits to it. In comparison to turf, it's not as tough. It's much easier to cut. It gives way on sharp cuts, unlike turf, which will then just mess up your knee. But a bad grass field can be almost as bad as turf, in my opinion, when it comes to knee injuries. Obviously, you need a lot more statistics to back up any of this decision. But any thoughts on the NFL going to all grass fields?
I'm completely in favor of going all grass. I think turf is definitely the greater evil in this one. You can always injure yourself. You're not playing in a pool. You're going to get injured playing on grass too, here and there. I think there's far more injuries and far more worse injuries, concussions too, on that hard turf. There's so many more things, in my opinion. I think the toll on your knees over time. Lionel Messi in the MLS will not play on turf fields. They always roll out grass for him when he comes into town. I think it's just a way for owners to not have to pay more money. They don't want to have to manage the grass. It's obviously a lot more expensive to keep the grass healthy and replace it for each game. But it's crazy that in 2025 that we haven't switched to full grass in the NFL. And I really think that needs to change.
Yes. It's also crazy in 2025 that the Dallas Cowboys and the New York Jets both have a combined 1 win and 1 tie between the two of them. Two historic franchises will square away. And the only problem is that neither of them have a defense. The Cowboys have let up 24 plus points in every single game, including 2 40-point games. Obviously, the last one against Green Bay in Dallas in overtime, where Dak and George Pickens were just slinging the ball all over the field. Huge game for George Pickens with CeeDee Lamb out. CeeDee Lamb was on the sidelines loving it, and a great offensive performance on the Jets side of the football. They haven't let up less than 27 points in any contest yet so far. So in this one, it's which defense can get 1 or 2 stops. And if you can get a turnover, oh my goodness, that would change everything. And I actually think at home, Aaron Glenn getting more and more into the team, entering week 5, being winless and being at home, I actually like the Jets to get enough on defense to stop the Cowboys, because I think offensively with Justin Fields and that run game, as well as Garrett Wilson, I think they have enough offensively. They showed signs against the Dolphins last week. Give me the Jets to get their first win of the season at home over the Cowboys.
Should be a good one. Next up, we have the Broncos taking on the Eagles. The Broncos are coming off a completely dominating win against a struggling Bengals team. Jake Browning certainly didn't make it super hard, but that defense looks fantastic. It was an all-around great game from the Broncos. The run game, especially J.K. Dobbins, looked really solid. Bo Nix spread the ball around well. It is just hard to read too much into this performance when the Bengals just look like a defeated football team after losing their star quarterback to another big injury. They had a lot of penalties on them. Their heads are not in the game. I think Zach Taylor has really got to get in charge of his locker room. A commentator, I think it was Troy Aikman, pointed out after a special teams mistake that Joe Burrow doesn't play punter. Him not being on the field doesn't affect every area of their team, and they're all not playing well right now. But enough on the Bengals. We'll talk about them more later. This will be a huge test for the Broncos to see if they are the real deal. The Eagles are coming off a win against a strong Buccaneers team to stay undefeated after making a big statement against the Rams with his throwing game. Jalen Hurts, although he had a good first half, had 0 passing yards, 0 of 8 attempts in the second half. He was forcing the ball a lot to A.J. Brown. It worked a lot in the second half against the Rams. It did not work in the slightest against the Buccaneers, and it almost cost them towards the end of that one. He's still elite, but he's showing inconsistency every season, which makes people doubt him, especially in his passing game. I think he'll be okay, though. Saquon struggled against Vita Vea, just like every running back this season has. And he has struggled with yards per carry this season. He still has found the end zone, and it looks like he has improved his receiving game this year. With almost 0 offense in the entire second half, the Eagles found a way to win the game against a strong Buccaneers team. They're just a strong football team, and I'm not picking against them until they show me otherwise. I'm going Eagles.
Yeah, they just find ways to win football games. It's been super impressive, and I agree. 5-0 for the Eagles. Both the Dolphins and the Panthers just looking to get to number 2 here entering week 5 in Carolina. The Panthers, a great win against the Falcons a couple of weeks ago, and then returned directly back to earth after getting just dog walked 42 points against this past week. Carolina, the big reason I think they were able to beat the Falcons, not only Penix was missing throws, but they started basically at midfield with every single possession on average. And that's how you're going to be able to score points, especially with kickers in this league. It seems like you get to 50-yard mark and you're basically guaranteed 3 points with the kickers that we have. That's not going to work against a Miami team. Yes, they lost Tyreek Hill, but they are starting to click on offense. They're starting to put up points. They get into the red zone. They score. Darren Waller adds a whole new dynamic to that offense now that he's back from retirement. And the singing game, go check out his songs. I think his last one was released a couple of years ago called Top 10, about the SportsCenter Top 10 and how he's a great player. He is a great dynamic here for the Miami Dolphins. Achane, obviously out of the backfield, getting into open space is going to ruin the Carolina Panthers in this game. There won't be a lot of pressure on Tua. That will help as well. Give me the Dolphins comfortably in Carolina.
Yeah, Bryce Young getting benched again in the fourth quarter in the last one. We'll see if he keeps his starting position. I don't see after this season that he's ever a starting quarterback in the league again, but we'll see how many games he lasts this season. I like the Dolphins in that one and for them to go on a little run here.
Yeah. So what do you have? Do you think he makes it halfway, full, almost to the end?
Yeah, I don't know. What do they have to play for? I guess another early pick. I say put in the red rifle right now.
Just put them in. Give them a chance. That division, they're 1-3. They're only, 2 games out of the division.
Yeah, lots of football to be played. Andy Dalton's going to the playoffs. Next up, we have the Texans taking on the Ravens. The Texans are coming off an important first win of the season against an ass Titans team, as Cam Ward would say. Woody Marks potentially taking over that number 1 RB slot after a slow start to the season for Nick Chubb. They still allowed 2 sacks, but the offensive line did better against the mediocre Titans defense. The Ravens are coming off another loss against the Chiefs. Their schedule to start the season was incredibly hard, and these next 6 games are much easier. The problem is their entire team is injured. Their defense has been ravaged by injuries. Matabike, their Pro Bowl D tackle, out for the season on IR with a neck injury. Roquan Smith, their Pro Bowl linebacker, will be out for multiple weeks with a hamstring injury. Marlon Humphrey, their Pro Bowl and best cornerback, will be out for multiple weeks with a calf injury. Kyle Van Noy, Nate Wiggins, and Travis Jones are all also dealing with injuries. If that wasn't enough, their 2-time MVP, Lamar Jackson, will miss a few weeks with a hamstring injury. It's just so sad if you're a Ravens fan. We all had high hopes for this team this season and the past couple seasons. It's sad to say that this might be the end of their window with how good that defense was and just the perfect timing for Lamar Jackson. I hope they rebound when everyone is able to come back. Until then, with Cooper Rush under center, it's hard to pick this team in any game. I'm going Texans in this one. And yeah, you just feel bad for the Baltimore Ravens.
Yes, especially so early on in the season to lose those guys like that. Even if they come back, it might be too late by the time they get fully healthy. But hopefully quick and they can finish the season strong. Tennessee Titans have started the season poorly, like you mentioned. Cam Ward with some choice words after every press conference to describe how terrible his team is and that he needs to play better. Well, he gets Spears back this week. That's going to help the passing game. What's not going to help the passing game is that Will Johnson for the Arizona Cardinals, their first round pick, cornerback out of Michigan, is questionable. He most likely will return to action this week. Definitely going to be tough to push the ball down the field with Arizona's fully healthy secondary. So a tough matchup there. On Arizona side of the football, Kyler Murray is going to have to carry a higher brunt of the running game, as now Trey Benson is on IR, joining James Conner in as many weeks to hit the IR. So it's just going to be on him running the football. Luckily, passing game did pick up last week. A good comeback there in the fourth quarter against the Seahawks. We saw what that touchdown meant to Marvin Harrison after a couple of drops, a couple of bad performances to start the season. What a great moment for him, reliving his moments at Ohio State, going up to the corner of the end zone and plucking the air out with, doesn't matter how many hands were around him. He brings the ball down. Great touchdown for him. Hopefully that can kickstart the second year's wide receiver season and get him going to the potential that was a top 10 NFL pick 2 seasons ago. You mentioned Zach Taylor being on the hot seat a little bit because, yes, they lost Joe Burrow, but they're just not playing well in any of the 3 phases. Callahan for the Tennessee Titans might be on a hotter seat because he just can't get this team going. We said at the beginning of the season and through the first couple of weeks that really this season for the Titans isn't really about the wins and losses. It's about seeing whether or not Cam Ward can be your franchise quarterback, can be that NFL starter, can lead you in a AFC that is so talented at the quarterback position. You spent a number 1 overall pick on him, and he isn't able to use Calvin Ridley. I mean, Trevor Lawrence is able to use Calvin Ridley. You just throw it up down the sideline. You just design any play for him, and you get him interested, and he's going to ball out for you. He's going to test your long throws, your accuracy. He's going to be able to run over the middle, catch in space, and be able to beat defenders, and they're just not getting him in the fold. I think things need to change in Tennessee if they keep going down this path. I think they fall to 0-5. I think a head coach change is probably going to come in Tennessee before the year is out. Give me the Cardinals at home.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. I really want to see Cam Ward get going. Definitely need to blame him as well. But when you're a head coach and you use the first overall pick, you got to find ways to get your star rookie quarterback confident and going. So yeah, tough days for the Tennessee Titans, but hopefully brighter ones ahead. Next up, we have the Buccaneers taking on the Seahawks. This is a huge NFC matchup. The Bucs are coming off a close loss against the Eagles. They were the much better team in the second half, but just dug too big of a hole in the first. Bucky Irving with another really solid game at only 23 years old. He is really establishing himself as an elite back in the league. It's good to see Chris Godwin back for them after his long injury. I'm really excited to see him off a snap count in this one. With Puka, Evans, and him, they have one of the best receiving core in the league. Vita Vea is an absolute monster. The Seahawks are coming off an important division win against the Cardinals. Sam Darnold is looking more and more comfortable, looking like last year wasn't a fluke and it wasn't all Kevin O'Connell. The Seahawks need to close out games better, though. After almost allowing the Cardinals to come back, JSN was a non-factor in the beginning of the game, but they found ways to get him the ball with a few carries and got him going. Eventually, Darnold was able to find him down the field a few times after those carries, and he got more into the game. Zach Taylor should take some notes from Mike McDonald on how to get their star player the ball. Overall, this should be a really good game and an important one for Seattle to prove to the league that they are legit. The Bucs are a little too strong for me in this one, and I think they take the win in Seattle.
Ooh, what a game. The game of the week for me is this one. I cannot wait for it. 2-3-1 NFC teams.
Yep.
And I think it's not a stretch right now to say that this is a possible playoff matchup here coming up between Tampa Bay and Seattle. A playoff preview, I should say. A playoff preview was expected between possibly a Super Bowl preview between the Lions and the Bengals to start the season. However, like you mentioned, the Bengals have completely fell off the wagon this year after Joe Burrow's injury, but they fell off on all 3 phases. And the Detroit Lions, who seem to score 40 points in the blink of an eye, is not a team that you want to go up against when you are letting up special team plays, letting up any type of run game, letting up pass game. Bo Nix throwing it all over the yard as well last time out, and you're on a short week. Lions, as soon as this game kicks off, will be in control, and I don't see any chance here for the Bengals.
Yeah, if Bo Nix put up 28 against that Bengals defense, the Lions are going to have a field day. This is going to be a bloodbath. I just hope that the Bengals can find some reason to play without Joe Burrow. It looks so sad right now. Next up, we have the Commanders taking on the Chargers. The Commanders are coming off a loss against the Falcons. Their two best offensive players in Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin were out, but they still managed 27 points, made it interesting late, but Falcons won pretty comfortably. Jaden Daniels is still dealing with his knee sprain, but looks like he might be good to go this weekend. They'll definitely want him back, but I don't think they should rush him. He's still such a young quarterback, and his run game is such a big part of his game. If he's dealing with a sprained knee, I don't see why you would rush him back, especially against a really good Chargers defense. The Commanders were only 1 of 8 on third down, which is a huge drop off from Daniels under center with his 43% conversion rate. The Chargers are coming off a tough loss against the Giants. Justin Herbert with his worst game of the season. After starting the season red hot, he has struggled the last 2 weeks against really strong defenses. We'll have to see if he's the real deal as he continues to go against some of these stronger defenses. Marion Hampton with another great performance and finding the end zone in back-to-back weeks since Najee Harris went down with that Achilles injury. The rookie seems like the real deal, and they got to be happy about that. Harbaugh loves to fall back on his run game. Maybe he goes back to that a little bit with Justin Herbert falling off a little bit. I'm not too worried about them, though. I think they'll be fine. They look really strong, and I'm going Chargers in this one as long as Jaden Daniels isn't fully healthy.
Yeah, I love that point there about having to kind of be easy with the knee. Being a running quarterback, you want him fully ready or more than fully ready before you even put him out there, especially against a defense like the Chargers. Buffalo 4-0 after that nice comeback against the Ravens. Really haven't been tested too much after that. They take on a Patriots team where Drake May is getting going. The Pats Bills seems like a one-sided game here. 97% on ESPN pick the Bills to win this, but I will have you know that the home team has won every single one of these the last 5 times out. Obviously, the Bills are at home in this one. I am going Bills for many reasons. Obviously, that offense has just been unstoppable up there with Detroit. 40 points in the blink of an eye. I just don't think the Patriots. Drake May, I've been very impressed with. Trevion Henderson comes in, gets more snaps last week. He's been fantastic. They obviously put up 42 against Carolina. They're not going to have that same success in Buffalo against a division rival and a team as good as the Bills. And that offense on Buffalo's side, passing, running, it has everything. Give me the Bills comfortably at home.
Yeah, it's hard to pick against them. Next up, we have the Chiefs taking on the Jaguars. The Chiefs are coming off their best win of the season, taking down, albeit an injured Ravens team. To be fair, even before all of the injuries, they looked like the better team. All of a sudden, the Chiefs are on a 2-game winning streak, and are people still writing them off that the dynasty's over? I certainly don't think so. Xavier Worthy was huge for the Chiefs offense to get back. He just needs to stay away from Travis Kelce and he will be fine. It's so crazy to see what Patrick Mahomes is able to do with just any kind of talent around him. They are just a few weeks away from getting Rashee Rice back into the team, and the Chiefs might be a problem again. The Jaguars are coming off a solid win against the previously undefeated 49ers team. Travis Etienne with a great game, over 100 yards on the ground and a score. Trevor Lawrence had all day to throw the ball with Nick Bosa out, but he made the most of it and didn't really make any mistakes. BTJ got going a tiny bit more in this one, but he was still pretty pedestrian. He was sidelined, though, with an injury to his hand for a few snaps, ended up coming back in. But they're really going to have to get him going if they want to reestablish that offense. I have the Chiefs going on a little run here, and I think they take it pretty easily.
Ooh, only one game back in the division. Could be tied at the end of the week if the Chargers do find a way to fall to the Commanders. If Jaden Daniels, like you said, maybe plays and has a good MVP type of performance that he can. The Chiefs right back in that division, which we thought maybe a couple weeks ago was going to be a runaway for the Chargers. And there you have it, especially on Monday night, a great way to end week 5, especially when we end up going 100% on the week to bump our record up. But remember, get your
your picks in on ESPN. Pick along with us. We pick every Wednesday here on Twin Football. We give you our picks and predictions for the Premier League as well. Those come out every single week. Huge game, Liverpool versus Chelsea this weekend. NFL kicks off tomorrow. And remember, enjoy the football.